The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, one of the writings discovered at Nag Hammadi that the church attempted to destroy, has a scenario that explains why the Archons fight so hard to stay unseen. Mary is recounting a vision in which he ascends through the 7 kingdoms, with an Archon attempting to stop her at each gate. One of the disciples asks her, "How did you see them? How did you know they were there?" And Mary responds with something the church could not allow in canonical scripture. Jesus instructed us to open the eyes that see beyond sight, not spiritual seeing, but true seeing with our physical eyes. Because when you can see them in physical form, they lose their major weapon. The Archons' biggest advantage is not their might, but their invisibility. They work at frequencies that most people cannot sense, allowing them to connect to your field, influence your thoughts, and alter your emotions while you are unaware of their presence. You will believe that every urge, fear, and self-destructive thinking is yours. However, once you can see them, when your physical eyes can detect creatures functioning just beyond normal visual range, everything changes because you can no longer be controlled by what you're observing. You cannot be dominated by what you acknowledge as different from yourself. Jesus did not instruct the chosen ones to perceive Archons. He taught them to see Archons with their eyes open in waking awareness, not in meditation or altered states, but in regular reality. Since that's where the Archons are right now, just beyond the frequency your eyes were built to recognize. And as soon as you learn to change your visual perception even little, they become apparent, and they dread visibility more than any prayer, ritual, or spiritual activity you could possibly do. Tonight, you are studying the technique that Jesus taught, the one that the church omitted from all recognized texts because they couldn't let Christians know that the entities they are praying for protection against may truly be seen. And once you see them, once you look directly at an Archon with your physical eyes and seen it recoil in response to being noticed, you'll never doubt that this is real again. If you're learning to see the Archons tonight, say, "I see them." Now, before I teach you the technique, you need to understand why the Archons have put so much effort into being invisible to human awareness. It's not because they are inherently invisible. They are not ghosts. They are not incorporeal souls. They have shape. They exist in realms that overlap with material reality, but their frequencies are somewhat different from what human eyes are equipped to discern. And the offset is purposeful. It is part of the prison's design. When the demiurge formed the human body, he designed the eyes to view just a little portion of what is truly present. You can see the visible light. The electromagnetic spectrum spans around 380 to 700 nanometers. That is it. However, reality continues to exist outside of that spectrum. Infrared is here. Ultraviolet is here. And the Archons exist at frequencies close to what your eyes can readily detect. They are close enough to interact with you, yet far enough away that you cannot see them doing so. Consider how much simpler it is to dominate someone who cannot see you. You may stand behind them and speak words into their minds, and they will believe they originated with them. You may elicit emotions in their field, and they will assume these are their normal reaction to stimuli. You may link cables to their energy body and drain them, and they will just feel exhausted without knowing why. Invisibility is more than simply a benefit for the Archons. It is the cornerstone of the entire control system. But here's what the Gnostics found and the Church attempted to conceal. The human sight has greater flexibility than the demiurge intended. Yes, it was built to perceive a limited range of frequencies, but it can be educated. The mechanism is already present. You do not need new eyes. You need to activate your existing eyes capacity, which has been inhibited since birth. Because if every human could see Archons, the harvest system would fail instantly. You cannot feed on someone who is watching you feed. You cannot influence someone who notices your hand on the controls. Chosen ones who learn to perceive Archons describe the same results. When visibility occurs, The power dynamic inverts. Previously, you felt as if you were being attacked by unseen forces from unknown origins. After you've seen what's occurring, you see the entity. You notice the attachment point. You can see the cord. And as soon as you see it, the Archon realizes it has been exposed and panics. And Archons who operate without cover are vulnerable, desperate, and readily discarded. The approach Jesus taught is not for acquiring clairvoyance. It is about broadening the scope of what your physical eyes can sense. And the technique is simpler than most people realize, which is why the church had to repress it so harshly. If this had been a complicated discipline that took years of study, they might have left it as an esoteric activity that only mystics would engage in. But it's not complicated. Most chosen ones activate this power within the first 7 days of proper practice. And once on, it does not turn off. You cannot unsee what you have trained to see. Your eyes get more than simply light. They interpret the frequency. And interpretation occurs in the brain, not in the eye itself. The eye collects info. The brain chooses what is genuine and what is blocked out. And since birth, your brain has filtered out frequencies where Archons occur. Not because certain frequencies aren't reaching your retina, but because your brain has been taught to recognize them as visual noise and remove them before they reach conscious consciousness. But that filter is not permanent. It is malleable, and you may reset it by teaching your visual attention to recognize what is ordinarily overlooked. You probably previously experienced this without recognizing what you were seeing. You are alone in a room. The lights are dimmed, and in your peripheral vision, you notice movement, a shifting shadow, and an unfamiliar form. You turn to gaze squarely at it, and it is gone. Most individuals reject this as a product of their imagination. Tiredness, eyes playing tricks, yet chosen ones who have learned to see realize what that is. Your peripheral vision detected an Archon briefly before your core vision filter intervened and obliterated it. Peripheral vision works differently than center vision. Central vision is crisp and focused, with an emphasis on detail. Peripheral vision is tuned to detect movement and tiny changes in the environment. Additionally, peripheral vision has a somewhat larger frequency range than central vision. That is why you see objects in the corner of your eye, but they vanish when you look squarely. Your peripheral vision captured something that your core vision filter would not allow. The strategy Jesus taught takes advantage of this gap. You are not attempting to perceive Archons with direct concentration. You're teaching your peripheral awareness to keep what it detects long enough for your conscious mind to notice it. When your brain learns that what it has been filtering out is constant, not random, not imagined, but true existence, the filter begins to relax. Then you start seeing them, not only in peripheral flashes, but in persistent perception with your eyes completely open throughout regular waking consciousness. Here is the procedure. It's termed a gentle stare. Every mystery tradition that trained pupils to see non-physical things employed some variation of it. You'll do this tonight, and within 3 to 7 days, you'll see your first Archon. Not sense or feel it, but see it with your own eyes. Find a place where you can sit comfortably with low lighting that is dim enough to give shadows depth but bright enough to allow you to see physical items clearly. The reason for this is that Archons are more evident when there is contrast. Pure darkness provides much too much cover. A bright light pushes them to flee. But in low light and shadows, they work most openly since they believe you can't see them. Sit facing a wall or an open area, not a screen or anything with details that will draw your attention. You want a visual field that is neutral. Then you soften your stare. This is crucial. When most individuals strive to perceive something, they become more focused. They restrict their focus. They strive to focus precisely on what they're looking for. That's just improper for this. You are doing the reverse. You're extending your gaze, relaxing your arm muscles, and allowing your vision to drift slightly out of focus so you don't stare at anything in particular. You're simply viewing the entire field all at once. This will be unpleasant at first since you are not used to viewing things in this way. Your eyes desire to focus. Your brain seeks a goal, but you maintain your gaze soft, loose, and receptive rather than seeking. And as you maintain that soft gaze, you are paying attention to your peripheral awareness, not moving your eyes toward it, but just seeing what is present on the borders of your vision while your inner vision remains soft and unfocused. Within the first few minutes, you'll notice stuff you'd ordinarily overlook. Tiny motions in the air, shadows that change when nothing physical moves, shapes that are unrelated to anything in the room. Most people's first reaction is to stare straight at the shapes. And as soon as they do, the forms disappear. That is the filter kicking in. Your center vision programming continues to delete what peripheral vision detected, so you avoid direct eye contact and maintain a gentle gaze. You recognize the movement in your peripheral awareness, but you do not pursue it with intent. You just maintain a gentle glance and allow your brain to gradually comprehend that what you see in the peripheral will not go away. It is consistent, it is present, and after 7 to 10 minutes of practice, your brain begins to accept more of what your peripheral vision detects into consciousness. The filter starts to relax, and you'll see your first one. It will not appear as you anticipate. Archons are not shown as substantial three-dimensional entities. They appear as semi-transparent distortions in the air, similar to heat waves or shimmers with a hazy form but no distinct borders. Some chosen ones refer to them as shadows with depth, others like black vapor that travels with purpose. Others are vaguely humanoid forms that appear to be motionless. What you see will be determined by the sort of Archon you are sensing and the density of its manifestation at that instant. This is the first time you see one clearly. Your instinctive reaction will be to wonder if you're seeing it or imagining it. Doubt is typical. But here's how you'll know it's authentic. It'll respond to your attention. When you see it clearly, it will either move toward you to increase its effect or away from you because it realizes it has been seen. That movement, that reaction to your consciousness, is what indicates you're not dreaming things. Imagination does not respond to being watched. Actual beings do. Once your eyes get adept at detecting Archons, you will begin to see them in unexpected locations. You'll instantly realize how frequent they are. They are not rare. They are everywhere. Most people carry at least one Archon with them at all times. In particular contexts, such as churches, government buildings, and hospitals, where emotional density is strong, dozens of them will be crowded together. The first place most chosen ones notice them is at home. You'll be sitting in your living room and see activity in the corner. You'll relax your eyes and see it. A black form floating near the ceiling or squeeze into a corner, simply observing. Most of the time, it does not aggressively assault. It is observing, waiting for an emotional outburst. Fear, rage, passion, and despair are all things it may feed on. And the instant you develop that emotion, it becomes closer. You will notice it approaching. You'll notice it position itself toward your head or chest, and you'll feel the energy drain in real time. But here's why visibility is so powerful. When you notice it and realize what it is doing, the feeding stops functioning since you are no longer unconsciously producing the emotion. You are mindful of it. You are viewing it. And conscious emotion does not fuel Archons in the same way that unconscious emotions do. They need you to be unaware,